Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time. We are currently moving through this bracket insanely fast, and we've already got action as the El Matador Oracle gets bolted from existence here in the left side of the map in the blue color, playing as Zeus. He's one of the strongest players currently in Retold. His name is Recon. His opponent is no slouch either. In the right side of the map, in the orange color, playing as Gaia, his name is AoM Matador. Relics on the map. We've got ourselves that Trojan Gate hinge. Going to be boosting walls. Walls probably not the most important of building on the map like Ghost Lake, but Bow of Artemis here, insanely strong for both players in all honesty. We've got that Skulls of Seracopes. This relic, I have seen this relic. It might seem like a bit of a meme, but I've seen this relic give crazy advantages to players. This is a must grab relic, it seems. You can get a lot done with it nice and early. Over on this side, we've got the Tusk of the Iron Boar as well. As the Gaia player here, you can grab this top relic, Bow of Artemis, to make your Terma cheaper. And then on the bottom here, you can get this relic to get your cavalry faster, which does hit those Terma. And then on top of that, you can get yourself Poseidon's Secret, and that's going to have cheaper Contarius and more HP on Contarius. Super strong relics where that's concerned, as the village is back over onto the wood here. And what is Recon going to be going for is the big question. Now, we've seen a lot of wild stuff coming out of both civilizations, both gods here. We've seen Recon, he's used really, really early Minotaur strategies and all the good stuff that comes from that. On the other side here, we've seen Gaia players going for mass heroized citizens to defend against any sort of early hero or early myth unit rushes. So there's a lot of different kind of ways to go, so to speak, as the temple coming down now for El Matador. It's going to be a relatively late advance, I would say, here for El Matador, with the temple being up at that point. He's going for what seems to me to be an extra villager here. He can always go for pre-queuing the advance time and maybe going for like a 310 here instead with the villager half completed. It's not actually a terrible idea to do that. You're not really setting yourself behind in any tangible way. It's just your advance time is a little later. You don't really lose out on any resources, so to speak. It's not a terrible idea to do that. But even if the villager is just about to pop out, you could probably say that's a terrible idea. But it's not. It's fine. Anyways, over on the Recon side of things, he's just got the one villager on the favor here. He's got that Jason out. He's got a whole bunch of villagers on gold and on wood. I'm not sure. Is that a second Minotaur? That is going to be a second Minotaur coming through, as the Jason and Minotaur are going to be charging for this relic. They definitely want this one. No sort of early hero from Matador at this moment either. Not grabbing any relics or anything like that. He's just going to pick that one up and then return back home. Oh, nope, not returning home. He wants to be on the town center, denying that as hard as he possibly can. What's the game plan here, though, for El Matador? That's the question. Is he going for a town center? I mean, it doesn't look like it. It looks like he's going for a classical fight. As the Katoskopos coming through, we just see the villager going to be shanking ever so slightly up onto this position here. The hero citizen is available to shank back. And there's no... Look at the defensive trees here set up by El Matador. Really, really nice. As the Galadriel going to be able to dodge perfectly. We've got a military barracks coming up onto this position. As both those Minotaurs, they're going to be getting a lot of damage done onto this military barracks. It's almost going to be preventing it from going up here. Really nice pressure thus far from Recon. Recon's looking like he's going for a second town center with the resources he's got in the bank. Only 3 villagers on food. Does mean he might have a couple of villagers on food now coming through as well for Recon. But he might have a little bit of villager idle time coming in onto this game, as now the hero term are going to be getting converted. That's going to be enough to kind of make these units want to leave, as the Galadriel continuously dodging away from those arrows here. The army now for Recon decides to charge forward. That Galadriel can come back in and heal these units up as well. So any sort of early fights to come in for Recon here, probably not going to get all too much value if El Matador can control it, which, in all honesty, El Matador, he's got great mechanics. I've seen him play some very, very difficult defensive positions insanely well, as the military barracks is going to get repaired all the way back up to full HP here. But one idle villager being hit for quite some time is a hit to the economy, as now we see the town center coming through for Recon. And this is more and more becoming what seems to be the meta at the top level, which is light pressure into town center. And Recon displaying it beautifully here. Lots of villagers on this town center because he's got to be a little bit concerned of Caladria getting dropped down. No heroes over here to defend for the time being. So a Caladria would have been a lot of problems. With that many villagers on the town center, it doesn't matter. It's now Terma coming up onto the top side. El Matador, probably not 100% sure what's coming in. He hasn't spotted the town center going up. It looks like he's not pumping units out, but he's getting a catapulti out here and Terma. But he's not going for that second town center. So he's looking for pressure onto the Recon base. Recon's got some beautiful buildings here. That temple and double house protecting this gold mine nicely. Now, El Matador can come around the bottom side here and maybe prevent that wall from coming up. But it looks like he's just going to say, all right, let me just charge into your base here. This villager here very much out of position. Going to get targeted down here, but it's just simply going to dive into the tower. No damage coming. Great use of the Caladria there in this position. Going to be distracting the town center away. Now going to get hit with a whole bunch of damage here. El Matador finally notices as he pulls that one elsewhere as the Minotaur's coming through onto this position. Not going to be wanting to take this fight just at the moment. So the villager over here will be able to finish the walls up here as the Caladria have to retreat away. More Terma coming in onto this position, but they're going to be getting stuck here as now El Matador has definitely overstayed his welcome. Military Academy comes through. Villagers coming in to shank as the army of El Matador going to be slithering through onto that position. Great defense from Recon here as El Matador going to be pulling back and seeing what he can do. As the army over here for El Matador going to kind of just regroup on this spot. Over here, we've got a town center now coming through for El Matador finally. And I mean, he's not behind on villagers just yet, but he needs to get value with this army somewhere. And where are you realistically going to attack? On this, look at how beautiful this is. Military Academy, and Long Wall. And now the villagers on the back here are going to be getting farms up. That's crazy. Such efficiency. And onto the back wood line there as well. As the army going to try and charge forward here. Try and take out those Minotaur. Getting a little bits of damage done. Hero Terma on the back here needs to get involved as well as the Caladria gets sniped down. El Matador can't get that micro in fast enough. Watchtowers is now in. And now Recon, he can basically just go into Minotaur hoplites here. And this is such a difficult composition to deal with for Gaia. You get the Athena Sarissa and Aegis Shield, which Aegis Shield boosts the hoplites pierce armor up a ton, and that Sarissa boosts the damage a ton. It's 10% hack and also 1 range, which is a DPS increase at the start of the fight. We'll take a quick look at the economic upgrades as well. None just in just yet for Recon, but El Matador, he'll already have a whole bunch, I'm sure. Oh, he doesn't have that bowsaw or that shaft mine, but the second town center up for El Matador as he's going to continue to mass units and continue to apply pressure to Recon. Really, I mean, realistically, the challenging position here for Recon, the position he needs to get through is gold mine expires, and then what? Armory coming up. A simple solution to this is going through Apollo, Underworld, onto a gold mine, and then fortress it. That's the simple solution, but can he get there is the question with the amount of gold that he's got. In the bank, only 300 gold, 1,000 gold in that gold mine as well. That's the temple going to be getting targeted down. And El Matador, he wants to keep Recon in the classical age. This is what he wants. Absolutely needs to make this happen. Is breaking through this temple. This is going to open this base up in a big way. Both the relics dropping. Bow of Artemis and Tusk of the Iron Boar. And there is another hero. He's got to pick that one up, and he does. And he's going to be able to bring those back home. The army decides not to put the pressure on just... I'd love to see him just come in with the Terma and poke the gold mine over and over and over again here. And that's kind of what he's going to go for now. As the Terma pop through, little bits of damage coming in onto those villages here is good micro from El Matador. And now Recon, he's got to sit on this spot. And now the shoot and scoot micro is going to commence. But Recon, he's got the food. He doesn't have the gold just yet. But look at this gold mine sneak. Well, it doesn't matter about this gold mine if you're sneaking this one over here. And El Matador, you've always got to be thinking, if you're on the offense, if you're the aggressor in the game, to have that line of sight on every single gold mine, because that's the difference between winning and losing a game like that. Great snipe there onto the villager as the Terma have to bail out, but both the relics are in, and now we see Freya coming in. The problem is that this cavalry relic, even though it will be assisting, I'm not sure you really go in with cavalry with any sort of mass, on the exception of just like maybe just getting out 5 to 10, not really fighting with them, but going after villagers. You can make them into hero Contaris to try and snipe down Minotaurs as well. Maybe go with like 3 or 4 Contaris, heroize them, go for raids, and then in the main fight, pull in and try and take out the Minotaurs or something like that. As cheeky little house trying to come up over here as the Terma charging forward here. Good micro to prevent that sort of defensive maneuver from Recon. Down to the bottom position, a couple manas coming up here, and the game is getting into a tense position. We are seeing Apollo, so I don't think there's any surprises here for Recon. El Matador, on the other hand, he's going through Freya, and he is making a couple of Carabalista. The idea of hero Carabalista and just having a handful of them is not terrible. Because your opponent, you can't really get in if you position them really, really well. You just have to make sure you've got a whole bunch of line of sight. And one way to get this is to just make sure you've got the Caladrius set up in a way that can spot where your enemy army is coming in. As this gold mine is almost gone, the army comes over and realizes it's got to be sitting on this gold mine and defending it. There is the possibility here for Recon to try and grab this town center, but I think more than likely we're just going to see him drop a fortress down first and foremost, ensure that he's not going to be losing this game to any sort of crazy timing attack, and then he can start thinking about the next stage of this game. But a really interesting counter to this for El Matador would be to try and get himself to the Mythic Age, implode as fast as he possibly can, and stop building units. But we'll see if this is what's going to happen or not, as it looks like Recon, he doesn't even have the resources to drop this. He's getting upgrades through, now getting himself that hand axe and pickaxe. Heavy infantry going to be coming through as well. As El Matador pushing forward, he's now got that heavy infantry in. One Carabalista in the back will be packing a punch. That Bite of the Shark is in. Upgrade-wise, he's only got a handful of those armory upgrades, or just the one, actually. On the other side here, lots of pierce protection for those hoplites, but not a whole lot of protection from the actual Murmillo here. So he might have to be making himself some of those Hypaspists here. Which is obviously good snipes there onto the villages. The hoplite raids coming through. The army here for El Matador. Is it going to be possible to actually take this fight? We are seeing that Carnivora coming down onto the back here. And they're going to get a little bit of damage done. Hero Terma on this position does manage to force out that restoration. The Hero Terma not going to be actually enough, as the Terma trying to take out some of those ranged units Peltast on this spot. But El Matador decides to turn around. I'm not sure he wins this fight. The army of Recon is just insanely strong at this point in the game. You need like a ton more of those dryads out. There's so much wood in the bank here for El Matador, and his chances at finding a timing attack in this game are going down the drain. But I mean, is this enough to just get the win here for Recon is the big question, as El Matador retreats back. If we take a quick look at El Matador's stuff here, he's got himself 4 military barracks up, and that's not really enough. He does have himself up a palace here to make those Deuterinos out, but he is also going in with Arcus now in an attempt to deal with those hoplites. I mean, if you can get out the Arcus ball in a big enough number, then sure, those hoplites are going to have some trouble here. But the problem is Peltast are in, and while at the moment they don't have 20 range, once you get that heavy archers in, they will. As the Arcus on the back getting sniped down beautifully. Good micro from Recon. El Matador yet again getting pushed back. And El Matador, he just doesn't have an army anymore. I mean, he's got 50 population. Recon, on the other hand, he's trying to break through. We'll see how things are going to go. As the Manticore does end up falling. A couple more hoplites going to be going down over here as well. The Manor on the back there will end up getting sniped. And now El Matador, I mean, town center up for Recon. Recon's got all the advantage in the world. He doesn't have the villager advantage. That's the one saving grace right now for El Matador. And El Matador probably doesn't have the upgrades. If El Matador maybe had himself fully upgraded citizens, he might be in an okay spot here, but that's not the case for the time being. This watchtower is going to be going down. Hoplites coming around onto this side position here. Going to be picking off a couple of citizens. This is huge. And the Hoplites just can clean everything else up in the main base. As the army, however, coming around to the back, there is not going to be access to restoration on this fight. But, I mean, does it matter? The Dryad's going to be tanking up a storm here. Heroes in for Recon. There's only 2. But it looks like El Matador has to kind of... He has to take a fight as he's charging. And the Peltash just clean all of those Arcus up instantly, it seems. As the Dryads on the front going to get sniped down. The Jason here trying to break through, trying to take out those Dryads as well. As more Dryads are going to be popping out onto this position here. But, I mean, there's no units left. And now the Hoplites can simply just take out the hometown center. There's no defenses here anymore. Recon decides to pull back for the time being. I don't think he needs to. He's already going through Hera. If he just keeps putting the pressure on, takes the town center down, it's going to be completely fine. I guess the more smart move is probably to move up to the top side of the map and push off this gold mine. Take that town center out over here. Take that gold mine down and just say good night to the economy of El Matador. And I guess there is a little bit of a scary thing here in that there's really only 2 gold mines left for both players. So you have to start a trade route here. There is a chance that El Matador might be able to catch Recon out. All this army gets cleaned up by, say, maybe an implode, and then there's not going to be any gold mines left to rebuild the army into the numbers that it's currently at. So has to start a trade route here. He's getting those markets set up. There are 2 citizens over here just sneaking some wood there as well. As El Matador, he's trying to pump out. He's almost back up to full pop. He does have himself that 3rd town center almost up as well. And I guess the big thing is here for El Matador is that the Dryads, they're really strong. That's the saving grace in this fight. But the archers here for Recon, they're doing absolute work as El Matador is trying his hardest to get out of range, space those Peltas, and it does actually look like El Matador has managed to survive here in this game. As the Recon army now starting to retreat away. Arcus on the back here, charging forward. As those Murmillo in hot pursuit here, trying to take out those units. We see more hoplites coming in. All the good stuff. The Jason on the back snipes down a Dryad. But that's going to get taken out really quickly. He's kind of getting caught out in a big way. Heracles is now in, however, as Recon realizes his keys to success here is just getting out the Heracles, getting out the Jason, getting out everything. As the army can be pulling back into the main base. Champion archers now coming through as well. As Lightning Storm in, Hera is in. I mean, what do you do at this point? I think you just run in and click Lightning Storm like all the way back here or something. He doesn't even have to. He's about to have champion infantry, champion archers. Belleroth on in to snipe down all the Dryads. And I think there's almost nothing that can be done here. Hoplites cleaning up stuff on the front. Peltas onto the back. Going to be sniping down those units here as well. More Dryads going to be coming in to boot here as the Arcus on the back all getting cleaned up. More Dryads coming through for El Matador. But honestly, there's just so much population and there's just no need to click that Lightning Storm. As the longer this game goes on, the further Recon seems to be getting in front. We do see a little task force of villagers coming up to the top side of the map. The gold is expired now, though. That is going to be the challenge. There's still gold up the top here for El Matador. He's starting a market up. Where there's a will, there's a way for El Matador in this game. And El Matador, I mean, he's still trying to take these fights. He's doing a good job of it, but the hoplites are tanking nicely. And in that position there, El Matador does decide to tap out. I mean, funnily enough here, this gold mine almost expiring. There is a world here where fighting on for just a little bit longer, you might be able to push back, but Lightning Storm in hand, that's just nighty-night to all of the units here, and I guess there's no point in continuing. Anyways, a well-played game here from Recon. El Matador allowing this gold mine to get grabbed, I think that was the big problem here. If El Matador just had a handful of units over on this spot while pressuring this, breaks through the temple, comes around onto this side, denies that gold mine a little bit longer, then maybe there would have been an advantage here for El Matador, but he couldn't find it, and that's the end. But we'll move into game number 2 very, very shortly. Hope you guys are having a great time, and we'll start it soon. Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. In the left side of the map, the blue color, playing as Isis from the tag team. Currently having a win under his belt. His name is Recon. And he is now finding himself up against a very, very astute El Matador. He's going in with the Odin here. Very, very open map. This is a great Odin map here. Super raid heavy. Lots and lots of potential to go wrong here for the Isis player. Now, let's talk about the keys to success here, because I think this matchup is super, super fun to watch and super technical. So Isis has got access to Ancestors Eclipse. That's one route. So going through Bast, going through Nephthys, clicking Ancestors Eclipse onto the enemy economy, trying to make that work. Alternatively, you've also got access to things like Anubites and Plague of Serpents and all the good stuff that comes with that, which is really, really good against Odin as well. And finally, you've also got access to both Thoth and Osiris, which are more things to worry about for the Odin player. But in all honesty, this matchup mostly just comes down to the Odin player hitting his defensive timings. So if Ancestors Eclipse comes into your main base, make sure you've got Herster there. If your opponent goes for a fast mythic, make sure you put pressure on to the second gold mine, because while you might lose a whole bunch to a meteor, your opponent's not going to be able to get a fast mythic off and be able to defend that gold mine. So you can put a lot of pressure over there. There's a lot of different options, in all honesty, for these for the Odin to go through. But the question is, what is Recon going to go for? What does he prefer? And in all honesty, I think that Isis legitimately can just pick whichever way they feel like. It's perfectly reasonable to go Anubites. It's personally reasonable to go Sphinx. It's personally reasonable to classical fight. It's perfectly reasonable to fast heroic. Everything seems to be quote unquote meta, so to speak. Maybe it's not like the best option, but it's still a good option, if you know what I mean. That's the temple now going to be coming up for Recon onto this position. Relics we haven't talked about just yet. We got the Gugnir Odin Spear. This one makes me want to go Anubis even more. Get an extra 5% bonus damage out of that. And that's really, really nice onto those spearmen there. The other side of the map, that blue crystal shard, must grab relic there. 5% bonus economy is nothing to be sneezed at. Nothing to be scoffed at. I mean, it's only for your wood and gold, but still, that's a big, big help. Over on this position, you've got that Girdle of Apollo. That's going to be giving that bonus damage to range soldiers. That's a huge relic, in all honesty, for the Odin side. As in the end here, we are seeing Recon opting for Bast. Monuments coming up, as well as getting that second monument down. Nice and quick, 2 villagers on it for the time being here. So he's definitely going to want to spam those Sphinx out. Now, one of the big advantages for Odin going through Freya is this technology set room. I can't harp on this enough. I think it's insanely important when playing against mass myth units. And it's a secondary kind of thing. You have to build the Hersa anyways, right? But when you get Sesrumnia, it depends on kind of how important it is to keep building those Hersa or not. And if your opponent has got, say, 4 Sphinx out, say, Ancestors Eclipse coming, say, Scorpionmen, then yeah, you want to get that one. And now we see the fast town center here for El Matador. And this makes so much sense to me when playing against Isis. This is one of the best routes to go down. However, You can get into hot water here very, very quickly. The problem is now for Recon though, he can't really deny this. If he's going through Sphinx, if he's going through Bast, he's not going to have the ability to get in here and get this damage. So he has to find that damage elsewhere. And where did he Great Hunt? He's just Great Hunted his main base, right? El Matador has. Nonetheless, up onto this side, Valkyrie charging through, going to start taking out some obelisks. I like the usage here. Running into your opponent's base, it's fairly unlikely to snipe a villager at this caliber of play. But the Sphinx coming in onto the main base here. El Matador does get that retreat in. Up. Doesn't quite get the villager kill as there is now a Herser over here to defend. He's got to get some more buildings up and just defend this position so that the Sphinx can't just have full access. We see a obelisk over here that needs to be dealt with as well. As Pig's getting brought back, we've got that Valkyrie charging forward. The priest is already in. Cannot be using... You can kind of forest fire, but you don't know if you really want to there, as the monument protection is in for Isis. Not going to be enough. We are seeing a whole bunch of axemen coming in right now for Recon, for El Matador to deal with. But if we take a look at Recon's perspective, villager going down. Barely survives. They're going to come back over here. He has to deal with the priest, so he's deciding to bail on that one. But El Matador, he's gotten away with a 5-second town center against the classical age fight of Recon. And this is, in my opinion, the keys to success in this matchup against this strategy. The problem is that you've still got to deal with the second gold mine. One of the big difficulties of a map like Elysium is all the gold mines are just simply put forward. It's really hard to get access to them. We see obelisks coming up all over the place here for Recon. He's not going to be falling for anything here. He's got priests over on this side as well. Picking up that girdle for Politer is going to be a big help. But I think the thing to consider here from the side of the Odin player is if you're 2 town centers and your opponent is 1 town center trying to get a gold staff, you don't need to care about going to a second gold mine for quite some time. Throw a market down, trade, and just get yourself as much population as you possibly can before you move out onto that second gold mine. Alternatively, walls up onto these positions can be very nice as well. As the Axemen's starting to charge forward, Raiding Cavalry are going to be retreating back. Herser over here. We'll see how they're going to be able to go to defend this position. He does have that Ford gold mine, which is going to be a bit of a challenge. Nice little separation on the army here, but you know, Recon's going to be poking in, poking out. I think maybe El Matador probably needs to get a couple more buildings in just to make it a little bit harder to dive in. Maybe a wall here wouldn't go astray or something, as the Raiding Cavalry now going to be leaving the base. Sphinx going to be checking elsewhere over here. And let's just have a quick look here. Recon still doesn't know there's a second town center on the table here for El Matador. I mean, there's got to be an inkling in the back of his mind considering how many units are actually out for El Matador. But, you know, you don't know if he's going heroic age here. You don't know if he's doing anything at the moment if you haven't confirmed it. As a villager's grabbing the gazelle in the middle, we see the obelisk getting taken out. As the army coming back. And Recon's game plan here is simple. Heroic Age, and a timing attack with Ancestor Eclipse, and a whole bunch of those Sphinx. So Ancestor Eclipse, Sphinx, Scorpion Men. El Matador could try and get Heroic Age here. If he can time it, that Ancestor Eclipse come in, and in that moment he gets Scardy, that can be enough to defend. Great raid coming through. Villager's going to get sniped down. This is so important when you're dealing with these sorts of strategies. As units coming up to the top side, we do see a town center coming through here for Recon. The army is not in position. He's trying to do a lot at the moment. Valkyrie retreating back, but the Hierarcho Sphinx, they are in, and they are so speedy here. As the army charges over here, he can snipe down that Pharaoh if he wants to, but if he does, he's going to lose so many units, and I don't think he can afford to do that straight away. The Dwarves will be making their way forward onto this position. Lots and lots of obelisks over here, and they need to get sniped down. As the Herser are all going to be waiting onto this spot. Does Recon spot the Dwarves? Looks like he will be spotting them coming through onto this position. El Matador going to be bailing ever so slightly, but he does notice that. There is also an obelisk over onto this position. Recon has got so many obelisks spread out. It is so much vision for Recon in this position. But the raiding cavalry, they're still going to just be running around distracting. And this is the point here for El Matador. If he can just distract, doesn't even matter if he loses these units because he's on that second gold mine, and that's huge. Sphinx now going to be moving into the main base here. They can get some revenge raids in a big way. They don't care about this wall. It's not a full wall here. Villagers on this position will be under a lot of duress here. Answer's Eclipse could get dropped down. Villagers going to be getting a lot of damage. 1 goes down. 2 goes down. The rest do manage to retreat back to safety as these villagers making a break for the sentry towers here. There's the Ancestors Eclipse getting dropped down. Lots and lots of villager kills starting to come through here as the Herser, they're not in position to defend as the villagers on the back here going to be running over into the town center. But in all honesty, a little bit of idle time here. This isn't the end of the world as the Herser coming back. We will see the Sphinx going to be diving elsewhere. Maybe he can pull in and try and take out this position as the rest of the army going to be charging forward, taking out the throwing axemen over here as well as the villagers going to be pulling back here. Recon wants to get some more villager kills in. He knows he needs to catch up on this economy here thus far. As a raiding cavalry coming through to snipe down the priest onto the backside. The Sphinx still getting controlled really nicely. Another Herser coming in over here as well as the Herser just cannot get in to deal with this in the main base here. More villagers getting taken out as Recon is managing to snipe a whole lot. But in under this position as well, you've also got to be worried about those minions, which are doing a crazy amount of damage here as the population of El Matador has fallen in a big way. Are we seeing some revenge raids over here? Yes, we are, but the Scorpion Man defends all of that. As both players are battered, bruised, but in the end here, it's still a villager lead for El Matador. It is still an army lead for El Matador, but the tech lead is in favor of Recon, and we'll see if we can make this work with Scorpion Men moving forward, maybe going into a whole bunch of Chariot Archers. Spearmen is always a good composition against Norse. Looks like he's going to be making a couple of those Camel Riders instead. That's not a terrible idea either. Spearman Camel Rider is pretty good. And the Camel Riders, they don't really have an advantage against those throwing axemen, but it's still not a terrible idea. As the raiding cavalry are going to be charging forward, El Matador searching for something to take out. Villagers over onto this position here, sitting idly by. Another obelisk going to be getting taken out here. That's the Migdol Stronghold now going to be coming through for Recon. And those raiding cavalry are going to come and hit the obelisk over onto this position as well. And there he is. Njord. I mean, it makes so much sense to go Njord over going for Skadi, but I mean, Skadi is just such an important tech, or like resource, I should say. Offensive resource, defensive resource to deal with an ISIS player who gets out a Deathball comp. And what's the Deathball comp? The Deathball comp is Mummy, Chariot Archer. And you can't really approach that ball, which is what makes it so hard. But if you frost it, then you can approach it. And not only approach it, you can absolutely erase it. But what does Njord give you? Well, it gives you pushing power. It gives you the really, really strong Jarls as well. The population here is slowly starting to creep into the favor of Recon as the units aren't really coming out for the time being for Matador. He's taking up. He's getting all of those upgrades, everything that he needs to grab. Population differential in the civilian count is still very, very close. As the army here for Recon now decides, all right, time to fight. Where's the defensive units here for El Matador? He's now going to come over. That wall does not stand for very, very long here, but he can always just retreat out this way. No problems where that's concerned as the obelisk gets cleaned up on the defensive side. Good distractions here. We've got that big upgrade coming in, funeral rites. When units die, you get a little bit more gold. Meanwhile, while this is going on, houses getting cleaned up on the other side of the map as the wall gets rebuilt over onto this side. And where are those raiding cavalry off to? Looking for something to take out. It's not going to be able to happen here just yet. So throwing axemen pushing in. Those Sphinx honestly can just get some real good damage in, but the throwing axemen going to be spacing nicely. Snipe down one spearman for raiding cavalry. Not a terrible trade, not a great trade.
Wedge.
As Recon going to be just slowly starting to amass map control lead, getting that third town center up as well. Over onto this side, we do have that obelisk getting cleaned up. As the wall is now up. And I mean, El Matador, he could go for a third town center here and try and play for a little bit of a later sort of game. But I think the better call is just spam units on 2 town center and just try and punish this. Try and punish up onto this spot. Because Recon, I mean, he's going to take a while to get himself up to like full population. Plus you got the Jotun spam that can come through or a whole bunch of those Jarls. And we'll see what he's going to go for. Take a quick look at El Matador. He hasn't... Wait. Has he got it? I think he's already got it. He's got Ringgiver already. Yeah, he's already got Ringgiver, so he can make those Jarls out straight away. He's not choosing to do so as he sees those Camel Riders there. Now the army of El Matador going to be looking for a really big push. And this, I mean, this is definitely the scary part. We've got double Mountain Giant in, plus a Portable Ram. There's not going to be any buildings that can survive this. Do we see Priest? There's a handful of Priests out. Just 5, though. Does he have himself Nebty? He does have Nebty. So those are going to be packing a punch. As the Dwarves on this gold mine, they're about to get pushed off this one, but they can move over onto this other gold mine with the hill fort here. And El Matador is going to be taking this opportunity to just say, hey, your Camel Riders are out of position. I'm gonna come kill you. And the town center that's up now for Recon is going to get torn to pieces. The Dwarfs over here will be under pressure. Matador's got to know, he does know that, as the wall was getting attacked for a significant amount of time there, but just pulls through his wall, going to be going to safety here. Town center is torn down. The gold mine over here is going to get pushed off, but Recon is still in the center of the map here with this gold mine. He's got a little bit of gold over here as well. Recon is now at 180 pop, but he's going up through Osiris, and Osiris is going to give him a really, really good answer to these mountain giants, to these walking woods, and to everything else that's going to be coming through here. What can El Matador do here again about a Son of Osiris? Forest Fire going to get dropped down as this Migdol Stronghold will go down incredibly fast. Priests are going to start getting a little bit of damage done onto those mountain giants onto the back here. We see the Jotun's technology coming through as the Thrown Axemen pushing in to try and take out those priests, but the Migdol Stronghold is taken out. The Camel Riders still going forward, trying to get onto these gold villages up onto this position. We see a gold mine getting grabbed here as well as a town center getting dropped onto the front here for El Matador. He's not close to going to the Mythic Age in any way, shape, or form, as the army now for El Matador is still pushing forward. But Recon is biding his time. He's almost in the Mythic Age. He's got that Pharaoh on the back here. But you've got to be moving up to other sides of the map. We now got those Camel Riders coming back in as the Migdol is just about to be up to defend the gold mine in the middle of the map there. But I mean, Recon, well, he's got to be careful here. He can't get caught out on that Son of Osiris, on that Pharaoh at the moment either. Jotun's is in, but that gets taken out insanely quickly here as the army gets pulled back and so close to Osiris. You can feel Recon wanting to turn and fight here, but he is waiting the perfect amount of time here. There's the Mythic Age in. There's the Pharaoh getting converted, and there is the damage starting to come through in a really big way as El Matador's army is going to get absolutely demolished here. He's got to retreat back. The Thrown Axemen, shoot and scoot micro coming in. We've got the mummy in as well as the villager's going to be returning back onto this gold mine. The villager differential here is equal. There's more mummies going to be coming in, and now El Matador, he's now going to find himself in a very, very challenging position. Mummy comes in, going to be taking out some of those Thrown Axemen. We've got the Jarls coming in. These are those Ulf Jarls. They are with Thundering Hooves and Ringgiver. They're very, very strong here. 261 HP, which is a great counter to the mummies. Mummies are very good at taking out low HP units, basically. He's got to push through and take them out. They do also have 2x versus myth units, and cleaning those mummies up quickly is really important as El Matador trying to inch towards taking out this army of Recon, but he's not able to make it happen. The mummies are now spitting onto those Thrown Axemen. They're getting so much value right now as the minions getting replaced. Population differential is still heavily in favor of El Matador in this game here for the time being, but he still needs an answer for this. And the answer to Son of Osiris is get out a whole bunch of raiding cavalry and surround. or Ballista, basically. You can try and do it with the 5.3 speed Jarls. It's not a terrible idea. But the problem is dealing with those mummies. And we aren't seeing El Matador going for any sort of heroes for the time being. We see a Otan coming in here. El Matador going to take that fight. He's saying it's time to charge forward here. We see another Walking Woods coming in to tank up in the middle of the map here. Is the Walking Woods going to be charging forward? The Throwing Axeman getting a huge amount of damage in the middle here. We've got those Jarls coming in around onto the back. You have to snipe down those mummies. They are so much value here as the Son of Osiris finally starting to take a little bit of damage on this front, but it's looking like Recon is not able to stay popped here. He's now trying to make out those Spearmen, but Spearmen against Mass Throwing Axemen is just not going to cut it. How many Migdols does he have? He's only got 3 Migdols out. He's got so many resources in the bank. Look at his resources. He's floating 4,000 at the moment as El Matador. He's trying to continue this push, but he's got to micro this one. The Throwing Axeman, 1.5 attack speed, little bit of shoot and scoot micro coming in, getting that damage in, but that Son of Osiris is still holding this position really, really nicely. More mummies are going to be coming through here for Recon. Recon on this left side, he now going to be thinking about getting this town center for himself. He knows that all the army is on the right side of the map, so it's going to be a completely fair and easy way to move forward here as the mummies yet again spewing onto those Throwing Axemen. And just Son of Osiris mummy combo here is really big, but maybe a couple of Goaty wouldn't go astray here. As we've got... Oh, for some reason Berserker Gang is queued up, but Longhouse is coming through, still not in that Mythic Age. Obviously, El Matador hitting Mythic Age here would be really big. Funnily enough here, there's not many situations where I'd say this is the go-to play, but it might be the answer to go through Balder here. Idea of, well, all I got to do is kill this army, and all I got to do is push off gold, and then the game is over. But here is the god of choice. That's the army here for El Matador opting to push forward. But the town center is coming up over here. We also see a catapult onto this position here as well. The problem for El Matador is he's going to run out of gold soon. He does have this gold mine up to the top side of the map, but just not... I think this has to be... This is almost perfect opportunity for Rag. Because your opponent, he's gone into mass camels. He's got chariot archers. He's got mummies. Sure, it's all in, but there's no gold left on the map. And the other problem is, though, with this town center coming up, what do you do? Because now Recon is going to have more population than you. And Recon's got all the resources in the world. Nonetheless, Fimbulwinter will be a big hit to the economy of Recon, but the problem is that Recon's already got resources for days in the bank. He's got so much queued up here as well. He's also starting a trade route. Is there a market up in the corner? Yes, there is for El Matador. Some monuments to the Pharaoh is going to be coming through. I mean, you do have to be worried about, I guess, another Walking Woods getting dropped down. Potentially a forest fire on this position as well. So this will help protect it. Also, empowering the monument gets you an extra 0.11 favor a second out of that. Plus, it's going to be healing up all your units here. So it makes a lot of sense to go for that. The Recon now... Very, very strong army. The Throwing Axemen are, funnily enough, they're actually really good at taking out those Camel Riders because they're doing hack damage. The Mummy's still getting some good value here. The Son of Osiris not in this fight is actually a blessing here for El Matador. He's going to be able to hold this for the time being here. There's the Mythic Age for El Matador. It's going to be an immediate Fimbulwinter coming through here, hitting all of these different positions. But will it hit the gold is the question. Will it take out the trade route is the other question. Those are the important things as the Mummy's still getting so much value on the back as there's just no attempt here for El Matador to try and snipe them out. Both players losing a lot of population as they're going to be fighting here. There's the Mummy getting taken out. There's still more of those Jarls coming through. There's the heavy cavalry now finally coming in. Both these Mummies in the middle, they need to be targeted down immediately, but it's just not happening. Recon now able to hold on, but he has no longer got resources in the bank here. Population, however, for El Matador, after all is said and done, has fallen down insanely quickly here, as it's looking like Recon might be able to push his way here to a 25-ish minute victory moving forward. We do have that El Matador gold mine now getting grabbed. The trade route started, but the units are going to be pushing straight through the map, as I'm not sure really what El Matador can make happen moving forward in this game. Whole bunch of those Huskal now starting to come through. The Son of Osiris is going to be joining up. And let's just take a look at what those mummies have managed to construct here. 21 minions, ladies and gentlemen. 21. Are you kidding me? Fenris Wolf getting taken down onto this spot. And in that moment, El Matador decides to tap out. GG! Well played here from Recon. I was worried for Recon for a second here. It looked like El Matador was making it work here in the heroic age, but he just could not deal with those mummy and Son of Osiris combo. And I think as much as I'm saying, I kind of saw this Fimbulwinter just not going to be enough. Whereas if you go for a rag, at the very least, I mean, you're already dead from not having gold, so you've got to go for an all-in of some variety. Maybe going for Fimbulwinter Berserks here, if you can get up the resources instead of getting all these techs in, instead of getting ox caravans and all that other stuff. You just convert all of your villages into Berserks here and you just go. It's very expensive, though, at like 4k resources total, which I don't think that El Matador would have been able to bank up here. So maybe instead of going for Fimbulwinter here, you could have done that and gone with a 50 villager Berserk Narok to try and just break through everything, come around onto the back of the Son of Osiris, snipe that down, and then push off all the gold. Maybe that could have been an idea, but I don't even think that would have worked out. Recon just too strong, too smart, too quick in this game. I'm not sure if we're into best of 5 territory just yet, but we'll see what's happening in the next game, and we'll get that one going to you very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, game number 3 here. It's a best of 5 territory as Recon is currently leading El Matador 2-0. It's game point in the left side of the map here for Recon. He's going in with that Hades. And in the top side of the map for El Matador, he is going through with Freya. Map is Kurlauga. What a time to be alive. Relics on this map here to get through. Got that Head of Orpheus plus 8 line of sight. At the bottom of the map here, we do have ourselves that Arrows of the Alpha. Going to be boosting those towers up ever so slightly. Over onto this left side here, we've got Text of Imhotep, which is going to be a build time minus 10% base there. And over onto this position here, we've also got Githara of Apollo with a plus 10% of base speed. Definitely not terrible relics in the slightest, but the question is, how is this map going to play out? Really, really interesting pick here from El Matador. I haven't seen Freya on this map once. I have, however, seen Hades on this map quite a bit. Quite a bit. Hades very, very good on this map. Has so many options to deal so much damage out onto your opponent. But the idea here from El Matador could be that he knows Freya isn't terrible on water maps, and he maybe could be one of those gods that just slips through the training process on this map. Because, you know, oftentimes top players, they can get stuck into a quote-unquote meta that they just think is the best thing, right? So they can go, all right, this map is just always going to be Greek. It's always going to be this strategy, and everything else just doesn't stand up to it. But oftentimes they can overlook certain things. And I'm excited to see if El Matador is actually coming at this with a certain idea in mind, or what's going to happen. So, meanwhile, I mean, docks are up, all the good stuff is happening. The advantages for Freya in this matchup are just that, well, you don't really have to care that much about water. Losing a little bit of economy here in this matchup doesn't really matter. And you're just playing for the mid to late game, really, here. As you can kind of compete with Hades throughout the entirety of the game. even behind on resources. So he can just decide to sack the water if need be. The other thing is, Hades here, I mean, you're going to have a little bit of trouble against Freya, the classical Minor Age god, with that Valkyrie charging around. Yeah, you got Achilles out, but most of the time these build orders, they don't really like that, spending the Achilles super early to deal with those things. But obviously Recon will make an exception if he sees Freya. Going for Ulla here as the Freya player, I mean, dropping down a fortress in the middle of the map while your opponent's going after your fish does seem really nice. Alternatively, dropping the fortress down on the actual water here is another idea to try and just defend yourself there as well. We'll see how things are going to go. Temple coming through here for El Matador. We do see the temple up, and 2 villagers going to be empowering this, or praying at this one, I should say. And the reason for this is that Recon wants to get himself out Valley of the Kings. Valley of the Kings, Vaults of Erebus, not Valley of the Kings. He's not Egyptian. Vaults of Erebus here. This tech boosts that economy up so much in the early stages of the game, but it does take quite a while to pay off. And here's the thing, right? In a land map, getting this tech is a no-brainer. But on a water map, it does take a fair amount of time to repay itself. It's 2 gold a second. It costs 350 resources roughly. So it's quite a bit of time to pay itself off. And generally when you just get it super early, there's no way to really punish that. But if you get it a little bit later, then you're setting yourself behind a significant amount of resources, and your opponent can find some advantages, whether that be maybe a town center, a whole bunch of upgrades, or whatever. Because there are a lot of ideas. And so houses coming through onto this position here for El Matador. And there is that Athena in. House comes down. And Minotaur is going to be searching for a little bit of damage here in the early stages of the game. But it is Freya, so not Ulla. I must say I'm a little bit surprised about this, as both players looking like they want to go for that Kithara of Polo. No. Oop. Stolen! He gets it! He gets the relic! Alrighty, El Matador gonna pull that one all the way back. I don't know what Recon was thinking there. He must have just like not seen the relic. I mean, just sending the Ajax across the map. Minotaurs, however, Ajax, however, charging in. This is gonna be big damage coming in. That's a dead villager there. Headbutting straight into the forest, and now dead. Ursa coming through, going to get a little bit of damage done, but that Ajax is going to be packing a punch here. This villager, where is that one going? Great Hall will be up very, very shortly as the Ursa going to get taken down. Meanwhile, in the main base, the Valkyrie going after fishing ships onto this side. Berserk going after fishing ships onto this side. Who gets more value? Taking out a whole bunch of villages or idling a couple of fishing ships? Is the Valkyrie now going to move over into the main base of Recon, and Recon now has already got himself that Achilles out, and we see Vaults of Erebus. The army now for Recon needs to get back. It's still just 9 fishing ships here for El Matador, whereas for Recon, he's got 9, 12, 15, 18 fishing ships there. So it's a significant... Okay, El Matador's out of here. I was like, oh, great garrison. I love that. One garrison micro, and the Valkyrie gets sniped there. I thought you could probably just sit on that forest fire and snipe the Valkyrie, but you do lose a lot of HP. So I like that he retreated away, but El Matador wasn't paying attention. He's now into the main base. More military buildings coming up here. It's not the end of the world, I would say, for El Matador losing that Valkyrie, but it's definitely not something that he wanted to have happen there. As units starting to move forward here. Those cavalry on the warpath as well. Meanwhile, over onto the right side of the map. Doc going to get taken down here. So we do have ourselves an El Matador dragon ship. Going to be trying to take out those hoplites as well. Over onto this position here. We've got those raiding cavalry starting to charge forward, looking to take out a couple of the villages here as well. But what else can you really find? I mean, this is Sentinels. Look at the building positioning here. And Aphrodite is coming through. Aphrodite just means he's going to get a really, really nice Skylar out onto the map. Whereas for El Matador, he doesn't really have anything coming for him. And he doesn't have a way to secure this gold mine. And Curse is going to be a problem. As the dock over here will get sniped down. So trading both of these docks for this one dock over here, we do have a couple of units here. The Dreki hammer ship, whatever you want to call it, is actually really, really strong. The longboat, however, I mean, it's a bit of an odd one. It doesn't really hit all of its arrows for whatever reason, unless it's right in front of the hoplite there. So we'll get a couple of kills here. And this is a great little trade for El Matador going on. As the fishing ship's dropping out over here, we see a cheeky little trireme, but that's not going to be that much of a help here. There's a raiding cavalry going to try and take that trireme out very, very quickly. It's only got 320 HP, so we'll go down very quickly. But hoplite's now on the way, and Curse going to be here as well to completely change the outlook moving forward. But the hoplites here will be enough. Not hoplites, the throwing axe will be enough to deal with those hoplites as well. A realistic horsefish shot. Yeah, that's right. He's now got the Skylar in, and now this water is not 100% defensive. With a whole bunch of Hursa, you can easily take the Skylar out. And we will be seeing that happening here as Recon will lose that Skylar immediately. This is a really great counter to this sort of opening. And we also see Argonauts coming through. Super rare, but Skylar going to live with 20 HP. Does move at 5.3 speed, but the throwing axe is going to be more than enough over here. The problem for El Matador is his gold mine's almost expired here, and he needs to move forward onto this gold mine. He needs to take a fight, and there's going to be access to Aphrodite, which could be enough, and restoration to boot, which could be enough as we see the curse now getting dropped down. El Matador here. I mean, you can send those pigs back home, I guess. Still going after fishing ships, still trying to get that damage done. But look now, the Argo. This guy packs a punch. He is very, very strong. And now El Matador has to retreat back, and Recon is converging on this position beautifully here. There's a couple of throwing axemen getting taken down. We do have a longboat in defense. Dreki and more longboats going to be coming through. Aegir is now queued up. El Matador is taking this opportunity to grab this gold mine while his army is kind of distracting here. And we have to remember that Curse was just used, so there is a returning power spike to come for El Matador. The only problem is, I guess, that, I mean, he's grabbing this gold mine here, which obviously is a safer gold mine, but I'd love, if he could have, to be on this gold mine and then grabbing this town center to be able to then use that Gullenberchi to defend here as an idea. Over onto this position, the Scarlet going to be able to take down everything. This unit is just such a monster on the sea. He's literally the Loch Ness Monster right now. He's causing so many problems. Dead fishing ships going down in a big way here, as the dock going to be falling very shortly as well. Great Hall's coming up. Longhouse over here going to be coming up as well. As up onto this position, we will be seeing that dock getting taken down. As the fishing ship's pulling back, the hoplites charging forward as well. As the raiding cavalry coming through to take out some villages and everything else here as well. Oh, he will be able to get in. He picks off two. The villagers on this gold mine are also exposed here. Recon might be putting a little bit too much stock in cleaning up all the fishing ships. If you can get the raids in, you can push off this middle gold. This will be gigantic. So raiding cavalry searching around now. I mean, look at the defensive buildings here from Recon. I just absolutely love it. You can't get through. You just can't. There's no way through. He might be able to sneak through here, actually. Not sure. Maybe not. Anyways, he has to pull back. In the center of the map, we do have a hill fort coming up. A couple of rock giants are in. And I mean, where to next for Recon? He's got to kind of push El Matador out of this game. I mean, do you go for a town center here? Do you just put massive amounts of pressure on? It's mostly throwing axemen through for El Matador. Recon's got mostly hoplites. So army composition-wise, it's kind of favoring El Matador, but economically, it is completely the opposite direction. Fortress coming through to secure this gold mine over here. There's gold mines on the left side of the map and right side of the map as well to grab over here and over here. So there is always going to be that opportunity to go for it any time. As the army now for El Matador ready to start charging forward. Recon retreating back here over onto this position. However, the hoplites are charging forward, going to be going for that hill fort, as now El Matador has to split his army up. Recon, on the other hand, can turn around and take that fight over there, as the villagers do manage to get into the hill fort, and the hoplites will be making a run for it right now. But the Thrown Axemen in hot pursuit here, you have to do like a shoot and scoot forward or walk forward to chase those hoplites max efficiently here. But it is kind of challenging to do that while everything else is going on, as the army charging forward here as well, going to be taking out that hill fort. And Recon is playing a really, really nice game of bait and switch here, but the hoplites on here are getting taken down in a big way. But a lot of raiding cavalry fall on that position here as Recon now starting to charge forward. The hill fort going to be getting taken down. Raiding cavalry over here will be getting cleaned up, as we do see the Aegir Tempest coming in, and this is exactly what Recon was pulling for. His hoplites are completely safe on this side. He can go and find even more value elsewhere. Ajax goes down, but that's about it here, as El Matador forced to use that heroic age gold power and not getting a whole lot of value from it at all. And the problem really for El Matador is he just hasn't got economic damage done, and 2 town centers is now up for Recon as well. The economy is going to get more and more strong as this game goes along. Villages getting cleaned up over here, houses going down into the center of the map here as well. In the center of the base, I should say, as the villagers on this location getting taken down. El Matador a little bit stretched thin, trying to push forward. Here he does have that Bergrizi in, so he can start eating buildings, as the army here for El Matador doesn't really have a good option, as Sentinels is now in, and that's going to be a huge help defending this position, as well as the Thrown Axemen pulling back. We got that Bergrizi causing a lot of problems here. Restoration getting dropped down, as El Matador has to retreat back. The hoplites are now going after the main town center. Somehow, some way, Recon is pushing back on the front and taking down the main town center. You could drop Gullenbursty here and defend this. This is what Recon is trying to force here. But El Matador isn't doing it. Now he does. Now he drops that Bergrizi, going to take out those hoplites. Recon now decides he's got to retreat away. He gets the value where that's concerned, but he is losing the army on the front here. But El Matador is still behind on population, as the Thrown Axemen trying to charge through on the back position here. Huskarls getting taken down. Thrown Axemen cleaning up those hoplites on the front here. Minotaurs coming through as well, as the Bergrizi does manage to get that taunt in nicely. Achilles going to be charging forward here to help out onto the front, as the hoplites going down to boot. The Nemean line causing some problems with the Gullenbursty now. He is pushing forward. He's tired, but he's going to get here. And I guess the question right now for Recon is, how do you deal with the Thrown Axeman ball? It's just so big. Maybe he has to go into nothing. I mean, the hoplites just get cleaned up so quickly. This army for El Matador, even though he's behind a ton in economy, part of this doesn't really matter, just on the fact that, I mean, if you take a look at the actual upgrades here for Recon, he doesn't have those bronze upgrades coming through, whereas El Matador, he's getting bronze weapons, he's getting bronze armor. These units here for El Matador are starting to become very, very scary, but the population differential is where it matters. Militarily speaking, it's kind of close here. And then you have to remember that some of that military is on this water over here. So it's actually quite... Oh, and we see another Tempest. The second Tempest is now in for El Matador. He's like, let's keep going. Why not? I don't need Bergrizi. I don't need those Draugr. I need another Tempest here, as Recon, he's on 3 town centers. Recon, the challenge here is, if he loses this position, which very well might happen, he's not going to have any gold. He does have this gold mine over here, though. So it's not the biggest of problems here. He's going to try and get back up to full pop, and he's going to keep on fighting here, keep on surviving here. El Matador is 1 town center or bust in this game, as the military academy going to get taken out on this position as well. And we see now Hephaestus? I mean, I get it. I get the, like, I just don't want to lose angle here from Recon. And more importantly, I get that he's like, okay, if I get Hephaestus, I can get all my armory upgrades basically instantly. And then the army of El Matador is never going to be able to win these fights. But Earthquake in the main base, getting Chimera out to deal with this Thrown Axeman ball is another option here he could have taken. But he's just deciding, and I like it, going for that Hephaestus and playing the safe angle here, As we also see a fortress coming down over here, and Recon is now going to be grabbing that that gold mine here. And it looks like in that moment, El Matador says the game is lost. As he's just not able to crack through this Recon armor. He is just such an insane defender, ladies and gentlemen. He just doesn't die ever. And this is just part of what makes him so good at this game. I mean, also he's like double controlling, like multi-raids, like playing around that A gear perfectly, that Tempest perfectly. But, you know, it's just the defensive angle. It's just the small advantage. It's just the fundamentals that really pushes Recon over the edge in most cases. Like, he's not doing anything strategically different than any other player. He's just doing it all better than everyone else. And we take a look at this this post game here to round this one out. And we take a look here at this timeline. And you just see for the entirety of this game, it's just military resource value in favor of Recon. It's resource value in favor of Recon. And it's just even civilian units in favor of Recon as well. And that's the game. Anyways, we'll move on to the next round here. If you guys are enjoying, don't forget to hit the follow button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's also your Desla, AoL, Iron Maiden, Nakamura kicking it off as well. And we'll move into the next game very, very shortly.